Fallout 76's announcement was interesting. We got the initial teaser trailer that didn't really show us much about the game, and then of course we got those leaks by Jason Schreier, which did tell us that it was going to be an online survival game. That being quite distinctive from every other Fallout and almost every other game Bethesda Game Studios themselves have actually made. If you look at their lineup, there's not really much else in the multiplayer spectrum. Obviously down the road at this E3, we did get a complete confirmation that this is going to be an always online Fallout.
We have always wanted to tell that story of what it would be like for you and the other characters who were first to leave the vaults. But there is one big difference with this game. It's that each of those characters is a real person.
There's no real single player component. You can play alone, but you're going to be playing with other players in your world. So obviously that's going to be a pretty big concern for a lot of people in the community. One, that's kind of a change in the genre, a little bit of a pivot into a new category. And then even those that actually enjoy some of the other online survival RPGs, this is a company that's largely taking this on for the first time. Are they actually going to get it right? Do we have that much faith in Bethesda after Fallout 4? But honestly, most of those questions are pretty much going to get answered as soon as the beta gets released in the next few months. Even if they shouldn't, most people will make their judgment on this game based on their experience in the beta or seeing other people play the beta, such as I am, so you could subscribe if you want to see that. But with this being such a fundamentally different game, really taking the series in a distinctive and new direction, how is that going to affect future games? Is Bethesda going to carry out this multiplayer aspect into Starfield and the Elder Scrolls 6? They did something very unique at this E3 and actually showed us future titles. And beyond that, with Starfield specifically, talked about it in multiple interviews. And without them even knowing some of the sales figures or how many people actually enjoy the playstyle of Fallout 76, it seems like their decision is already made. But before we really look into some of those interviews, we will have today's sponsor, and that's going to be BetterHelp. BetterHelp's a website that allows you to connect with literally thousands of online counselors to address some of your mental health needs. I'm currently getting my undergraduate degree in psychology. I put psych fun facts at the end of most of my videos, so I figure it's time for me to actually start giving some of you with mental health problems an outlet to address those. BetterHelp is structured to be as flexible and easy for you to use as possible. You can curate and decide which counselor you actually want to work with you, and in addition, how you want to communicate with them, whether it just be messaging or actually voice chat or even video chat. Mental health is one of those things that when you neglect or ignore it can really become just a larger issue and start to affect other parts of your life. If you are interested in checking this out, there will be a link down below at the top of the description, but otherwise we can continue with the rest of the video. So something you're hearing time and time again throughout the community is reserve your judgment with Fallout 76. We haven't played it. Like I said, most people are probably going to figure things out with the beta, and even after that people will still say, oh, reserve your judgment, there'll be future updates, which is sound reasoning but unrealistic at the same time. Most people aren't going to do that. And yet despite this, it seems like Bethesda has largely already made their judgment as far as multiplayer games go. They have confirmed in multiple interviews that Starfield is a single player game. It's going to pretty much be like all of their other games. This was initially confirmed by Todd Howard with an interview following the E3 presentation, literally the day after it, that he did have with Jeff Knightley, I don't know, however you say this guy's name. And in that, he really quells a lot of people's worries. A lot of people are wondering, is this going to be a new direction for the company, or is it going to be a new direction for this game? Is multiplayer going to be something we see time and time again? And
does that mean it's single player only? It won't have online? Like you're focusing that on just a single player experience?
Its focus is single player. Whether it has some social connection, I don't know. I don't want to guess right now.
Okay.
But that's our focus for that game.
It's not one of these share world games we get to follow, but it's very much like your next big epic single player.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
Based off that, just adding in some social features, it doesn't really seem like they're planning on doing much with it in Starfield at the very least. But then in a further interview, Pete Hines kind of confirmed a lot of our suspicions that they actually announced Starfield and by proxy kind of the Elder Scrolls 6 at the C3 to comfort some of us or reduce some of our concerns.
And then also you did like these small teasers for Elder Scrolls 6 and Starfield, exactly. What's the reason behind that? Because a lot of players really like that directness of here's the game, you can play it in 3 months.
Here's what we're doing. Yes, we're making this game called Starfield, and here's what it is. And yes, we're going to make Elder Scrolls 6, but we have these other two games that we have to develop and make first. Yeah. So just so that folks had a better sense of where we are and where we're headed. I just felt like that was important, particularly with Fallout 76 and expecting some folks to freak out a little bit when they find out Bethesda Game Studios is not doing just single player, that it's going online. To be able to say, look, but the next thing that we're doing is new IP, and it's sci-fi, and it's epic single player. It is a single player game, period. That also helps convince folks, like, look, this is not forevermore what we're doing. Like, we are going to do a game that's just single player next time around. And yes, we are going to get to Elder Scrolls 6. And
instead of just showing us Fallout 76 like they did 3 years ago with Fallout 4, they actually showed us their future projects because they don't want us to think multiplayer is the direction this company is going. They still do have those fundamentally single player games coming in the future. And although technically we don't have a confirmation or denial on the Elder Scrolls 6, and that game is largely in pre-production, which was in another interview, but I'm not going to find that specific clip because it'll take a while. But either way, it really seems like Fallout 76 is just like that one-off spin-off. Maybe if it's massively successful, they'll look at things for the Elder Scrolls 6, but I've actually speculated in another video that I'll have linked in the little eye that Starfield is only a couple years away from release. They actually said they started work on Starfield immediately after Fallout 4, which kind of brings about another interesting question. If you guys don't know, the main people actually working on the multiplayer component of Fallout 76 was Battlecry Studios, now known as Bethesda Game Studios Austin. These guys were originally working on a game called Battlecry. It was an online game, and a lot of the higher ups at BGS Austin actually do have a fundamentally multiplayer background. So the way Todd Howard kind of worded this in the No Clip documentary was that they just had the studio available. It was in the umbrella of ZeniMax, which owns all these different companies, and someone along the line probably suggested the idea, hey, why don't we give a multiplayer game a shot? It was originally meant to be part of Fallout 4, but then of course it didn't work out and it turned into Fallout 76. But again, it seems like the main driving force behind this multiplayer in Fallout concept was Battlecry or BGS Austin. And following that, it seems like a no-brainer to actually just release Fallout 76 as a multiplayer game. Some of the biggest games, or at least those making the most money, are actually online or multiplayer games with microtransactions. That's what Fallout 76 will be. We're probably not seeing another Fallout for quite a few years after this one, and I bet for the next few years, Bethesda Game Studios Austin is just going to provide free updates and DLC-like things for Fallout 76 while still making a lot of money off those microtransactions. Pretty much exactly what GTA Online does. And then the main studio in Maryland will work on Starfield, the fundamentally single-player game. After Starfield, they'll work on the Elder Scrolls 6, another probably fundamentally single-player game unless Fallout 76 is like a massive success. So it really does seem like Fallout 76 is going to be the last multiplayer Bethesda game for at least a while. Again, I'd speculate that maybe the Elder Scrolls 6 gets some features if Fallout 76 is a massive success, but it seems like Fallout 76 was really geared around the idea of just being a one-off. A way to make some money in a category that a lot of other people are finding a lot of success in. Either way, that's pretty much going to wrap it up for this video. As always, again, I thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed this one. But of course, before we end things off, we do have today's psychology fun fact of the day. So this one's pretty interesting, and it's actually going to look at underage drinking. Yes, something that nobody does. So I'll have a full link to the study down below, but more or less it found that how much people drink, especially underage people, the mean of this study, or the mean age of the study, was 17.25 years old, was massively impacted by social media, and more specifically determined by their own online social identity. So how much of like my identity and my social structure was determined by my posting online. So what it found was effectively when people had a high online social identity, so they actively posted things, probably like the one-a-dayers on Instagram that tweet all the time and things like that. When those people saw a lot of their peers or people they followed actually talking about or posting pictures of alcohol, their drinking increased quite substantially. Like in some cases, their drinking actually doubled as a product of a lot of the people on their social media wall or feed or whatever actually posting more. And the study kind of concludes that this is largely due to people wanting to fit in, to want to just be like their peers, do the same thing as their peers. I don't know, I personally found it kind of interesting. Social media plays a scary role in a lot of people's lives. It has a massive influence on people's lives that don't necessarily understand what they're seeing. It's more or less like a curated list of all the things people actually want to show you, only the good things, only the great things they're doing in life. So it definitely has an effect on mental health because some people look at that and be like, well, why doesn't my life look like that? Either way, that's pretty much going to wrap it up for this video. As always, again, I thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope to see you all next time. Later.